Hey guys, Andrew here with Nashville Severe Weather. We got a severe thunderstorm warning here for Davidson County, and this is going to be in effect until 4:30 this afternoon, and that's going to be for severe wind gusts. This storm is moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. 60 mile per hour wind gusts and nickel-size hail are possible in this storm, and this is a warning that's in effect for a good chunk of Davidson County here. This is for basically west of downtown, down toward Bellevue, Riverwalk, Bells Bend, Beeman Park, all the way up to Joelton, and that's for this cell right here. And it's showing some pretty strong winds. This is showing winds up to about 70 miles per hour. That's up at about 1,600 feet. Where the radar beam is, and that's showing winds up to 70 miles per hour. So it could be very windy there in that storm, and we'll need to keep an eye on that as it comes through. So you want to be prepared for it as it arrives. And looks like, let's see, checking here to see, this is going to be another severe thunderstorm warning for Davidson County that's coming out now. And so we've got a couple of things in play. So there should be another polygon popping up. And there it is. That's actually for Williamson County as well. So both storms now warned, or both counties now warned here in Davidson and Williamson County. One of these is for 60 mile per hour winds and nickel-size hail, and so both of those are going to be warned for that. So we have a cell up here just west of Davidson County, right there, and that is the storm that's going to be affecting a good part of Davidson County. This storm down here in southwestern Williamson County is the one that's going to be affecting most of Williamson County. All right, so we both get a storm out of this, and so what possibilities do we have? 60 mile per hour wind gusts are possible with these. We also could see up to nickel-size hail. It takes quarter-size hail to be considered severe on the hail side. So even though you might be getting nickels out of it, it's that part of it is not considered as severe. It's going to be loud and noisy, but nickels are not considered severe on the hail side. But you could get some 60 mile per hour winds. So let's talk about what to do with this. This is not a tornado warning. However, if you are in a place where you could have trees fall on you, so if you're driving especially down a road that has a lot of trees, if you know somebody that's driving or commuting that way, you might want to give them a heads up that they don't want to be driving into those trees when these storms come through, because we've seen this year, unfortunately, events where people have been hurt seriously or lost their lives because trees fall on them. So storms now coming into Davidson County, and this is going to be mostly looks like the wind stretches really from Riverwalk up to Beeman Park. And there's David. Hey, David. So we don't hear you. You might be muted, but that's all right. So it looks like the strongest winds are going to be coming into central parts of western Davidson County there, right there around Ashland City Highway, River Road, Pike, Scottsboro, up to eventually to Beeman Park, the old Fontenelle property, Whites Creek, Haynes, Bordeaux. And these winds do look especially strong. So we're looking at 60 to 70 mile per hour winds there coming into western Davidson County. So this is your heads up anywhere in this yellow polygon for 60 mile per hour wind gusts, possibly some nickel-size hail as that pushes through. Now down on the Williamson County storm, we could also be seeing some hail and some high winds in there as well. And let's go over to TBNA. And I'll show you the winds there. So this is TBNA radar out of Nolensville. Has a better look at the Williamson County storm, and this is showing very similar things: 50 to 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts there in Williamson County, southeast of Fairview, Chester Estates, Fernvale, South Harpeth, Old Highway 96 area, out there along toward the Natchez Trace Bridge here in a little bit. So some strong winds there indicated as well. So we have two severe thunderstorm warnings, and those are in effect for Davidson and Williamson. Hang on, I may be there. Hey, David, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, you're not muted. I was muted. Not my mic.
No,
my
I was
speakers.
muted.
Okay. Well, we're good. We're good now, so I can hear you as well.
Fault.
No problem. So anyway, David's over on Twitter, and then Will's going to be taking reports, I believe, and as always. And so if you have any damage from these storms, from these winds, please let us know using hashtag TSpotter, and Will's going to be taking those reports for us. So if you're just joining us, we do have two storms that we are watching very carefully, and one of them is in Davidson County, and one of them's in Williamson County. So why not? One for each county, and hopefully these come through without a problem. So we're looking at the Weather Service radar right here. Let me switch back over to it. Here's the Weather Service radar, and we're going to use it to look at the Davidson County storm. And it is coming into Beeman Park now, and right up and down Bull Run Road, Pecan Valley Road. It's going to be crossing Old Hickory Boulevard, which is on the north side of the Cumberland River there, that runs through the west part of Davidson County, that sort of rural area of Old Hickory Boulevard. And that's where these winds are now. So it looks like they could be up in the 65 mile per hour range coming down Ashland City Highway, coming on into town. So let's go over and look at the Williamson County storm, and that's going to have a better look over on TBNA. And still looks like we have some strong winds there coming out of Fairview, and really anybody inside this yellow polygon here in Williamson County needs to have a heads up on this potential for strong winds. That does include Franklin and Brentwood. David, how you doing?
Canceling lacrosse practice that's ongoing right now at the high school.
Ah, yes. Strong wind for both counties. The warning is for 60 miles per hour potential. That's a good call. Radar is indicating that could be even a little higher than that up aloft. So up at about 1,300 feet. So we'll see how much of that reaches the ground. But really anybody inside this polygon, either one of these polygons, needs to have a heads up. Potential for some very strong winds to come through here in a little bit that would include trees coming down, power being interrupted, internet being interrupted. You know the drill. Shoot, we've had enough of these things. And that's all a threat this afternoon as this comes through. Now, if there's any good news with this, David, we were just talking about this. We think once these storms come through, this looks like it's going to be about it as far as the severe thunderstorm and tornado threat goes. Well, tornado threat's always been pretty low, but severe thunderstorm threat especially, it looks like it transitions to more of a heavy rain threat tonight.
Switch to Andrew Bell's Bend velocity.
All right, let's do that. Yeah, that looks like radar junk to me, but
it's on TBNA too.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Right along that leading edge.
Okay. Well, could be some. Yeah, could be. Let's see. What's the Weather Service saying about it here? They're not. Okay. Yeah, could be some strong winds right here on the leading edge of the storms, and that's going to be right around John C. Toon Airport, and potentially could be some very strong winds there right around John C. Toon Airport, Urbandale Nations, Bordeaux, and on up into Metro Center. So heads up, could be some very, very especially strong winds coming out of Bells Bend up to Bordeaux and Haynes, Talbot's Corner, Metro Center here in just a little bit. So that's something we're watching very carefully. Let's see, I'm going over to TBNA to check it. Yeah, it has slacked off on it some on TBNA. But yeah, that's hard to tell.
That's our biggest pocket. It's hard to tell, but that's probably our biggest pocket of winds because that particular part of the storm has been producing the highest velocities through the life of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you've got ball games in Franklin, Brentwood, pretty much anywhere, Nolensville, really anywhere, Nashville, Davidson County, or Williamson County, very few fields are going to be able to tolerate this much rain. And certainly if you're going out there for like a 5 o'clock game or something like that, you're going to be within range of cloud ground lightning. There's tons of cloud ground lightning strikes here. So the best thing to do is to be in an enclosed shelter when that comes through because that looks kind of legit. Yeah, I've asked Andrew. You're right. That velocity spike near Bells Bend, according to the Weather Service, is probably clutter ahead of the higher reflectivity. So what that means is sometimes the radar overestimates the size of the wind because of some of the radar physics that are going on around there.
Yeah.
So some of those were showing like unreasonably high winds.
Yeah.
Um, I would say probably closer to 60 is probably more correct.
Yeah. The atmosphere doesn't. It just doesn't. This is not the atmosphere we typically get 100-mile-per-hour straight line winds in. But
Yeah.
hopefully that, yeah, we think that was just cluttery, and not real.
Weather Service confirmed it's clutter.
Yeah. So we should be in
Yeah.
good shape there. However, let's not minimize the fact that we still could get 60, 70-mile-per-hour winds there in Davidson County, crossing Brawley Parkway there. That's going to be around John C. Toon Airport. That's going to be right around County Hospital Road. That's going to be around Centennial Boulevard. That's going to be, it's just, these could be especially strong winds crossing Brawley Parkway now on the northwest side of town. And that, make no mistake about that, that could definitely be happening. Also, right up around Grace Point Road and crossing 41A there here in just a little bit, that runs up through Pleasant View. That is definitely, that's Clarksville Pike, I think. That should be, that's definitely possible as well. All right, let's go back down to the Williamson County storm here. Let's see what we're looking at there. Let's go back over to TBNA. And velocities have come down pretty significantly there. That's good news. And so still could be some pockets of some strong winds there, 55, 60 miles per hour there in Williamson County, especially, coming in through the west parts of Franklin here in just the next few minutes. We're looking at the velocity mode now. We're not looking at rain, anything like that at this point, but we're looking at velocities here, and could definitely be some hail and some strong winds coming through western Williamson County, approaching Franklin here in the next 10 or 15 minutes. But that velocity signature down there in Williamson County on radar is not nearly as impressive as the one up in Davidson County right now. So we're watching that one especially carefully. Both of these warnings are in effect. Let's see, this one's in effect, the Davidson County in effect till 4:30, and the southern one in effect also till 4:30. So we'll be watching these storms for a little while. However, David, this one up there in Davidson is going to be exiting that warning here pretty soon.
Yeah, it's moving pretty fast.
Yeah, it's moving pretty quickly. So Scottsboro, you are now past the heavy wind, and so that wind core is moving through Davidson County pretty quickly, and it doesn't look like it's going to hang around too long. But right now, it's stretched right across Kings Lane, Highway 12. There, that's going to be. Let's see, this one here. What's that road right there? That's Hamilton Road. So we're up there in that Bordeaux area, just north of Bordeaux. That's going to be some pretty strong wind. And let's see, I'm going to check over here on Twitter. David, you may already be watching Twitter to see if the wind, I say it's gusting hard in Charlotte Park.
Yep.
Going to see if there's
Not
any
getting a
other
lot of
reports
reports, though.
That's good.
Which is good news. Really good news.
That's good.
Yeah, I suspect it's because of that cap that's aloft.
Yeah, we do have a cap today. We were talking about this on
Ned.
Twitter earlier. A Ned. It's Ned. And a layer of warm air aloft that is, it was helping to suppress our storm development earlier today. That can also help to somewhat shelter the ground level from strong straight line winds that come out of a thunderstorm. Not saying that's happening here. It can act to do that. So we'll have to see. That may be what's happening. We'll just have to see. Weather Service is continuing that severe thunderstorm warning until 4:30. So this polygon will likely edit a little bit and get Cheatham County out of it. And it'll just be a Davidson County thing here. But strong gusty winds now coming through Haines and Bordeaux and the old Fontenelle property up there along Whites Creek Pike, approaching Skyline Village. Let's stay out ahead of it with this. Cedar Hill Park, Good Pasture Christian School, Chesapeake, Talbot's Corner over there along Gallatin Road, Amqui, Madison, Rivergate, areas like that could be seeing these winds here in the next 10, 15 minutes. And they could be up on the order of 60 to 70 miles per hour. Could be very strong. We're going to have to wait and see if that's what's occurring. Hey, Will, how's it going? So Will's joining us here. Will's going to be taking
Andrew,
yeah.
I just sent a tweet with a photo or a video that you can show that shows the line as it's moving in. Looks like it's kind of bowing a little bit. It's got a nice little shelf cloud feature. I just subtweeted it.
Okay.
And it's pretty instructive. There's a little bit, I know some people have been saying there's a lowering there, but I don't really think that that's anything unusual from what we see from this feature. But looks like Jamie got a really good shot of it, potentially from a drone.
That's looking out west. That's the Briley Parkway interchange right there.
Mm-hmm.
Looking out Knob Hills on the left, you saw Channel 4's tower. This is looking northwest, and that's looking out toward Bordeaux. And there's the Briley Parkway Bridge, and there's John C. Toon Airport there, I believe. So yeah, that's looking off toward Metro Center back to the left or to the west. So let's watch that again. That's Channel 4's tower right there, west of town on Knob Road. And then that's the Briley Parkway interchange. And as you pan around to the northwest, that is, yeah, that's looking off to the north. That's that ridge of hills up there along Briley Parkway on the northwest side of town. So, yeah, there it is coming through. And let's go back to radar here. It's going to be this line. Now, that was taken. Now that video is a few minutes old because that right now that rain and those storms are there where that video is occurring. New severe thunderstorm warning here. That's going to be for Davidson County for the rest of it to the northwest or to the north of downtown. That includes Madison and Goodlettsville and Lakewood and Old Hickory, Hermitage, and that's going to be until about 4:30 as well. That's going to be for this area of wind that we've been talking about up here in Davidson County. That's crossing I-24, really right where the 2465 interchange is, and that is going to be what this severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for. So Chesapeake, Skyline Village, Cedar Hill Park, Good Pasture Christian School, Madison, Amqui, Rivergate Mall, Inglewood, Old Hickory, Lakewood, Hermitage Golf Course. If you know anybody out there playing golf, give them a holler, get them out of there. They need to get in the clubhouse. Could be some very strong winds coming through, along with lightning. A lot of threats there with this as it comes through. This is not a tornado threat. We've not seen any indication of rotation, and really the atmosphere is not very favorable for that today as much as it is strong, damaging straight-line winds. John C. Toon Airport just reported a gust of 56 knots. So that's going to be pretty strong. That's definitely severe. So John C. Toon Airport reporting 56 knots. This is definitely reaching the ground, guys. And that's really some ground truth there that we've got this wind coming to the ground. So Haynes, Talbot's Corner, Metro Center, all the way up to Good Pasture, Cedar Hill Park, Skyline Village, Amqui, Madison, Inglewood, Rivergate, Old Hickory, Lakewood. All of those areas need to be inside because this wind, you don't want to be near trees. Driving along roads with a lot of trees, you really just need to be in a building as this wind comes through. Let it come through, give it 5-10 minutes till it dies down, and then you're good to go. But this strong wind is crossing the I-24-65 split now. And going to check and see if we've got... we do have the Midtown camera, but it's not... Really what we need to see is over left of where this view is. And it's crossing the 2465 split now over on the left side of that screen. Nipper's Corner camera's got a little bit of a view of it, but I guess just too far away. Too far away from the Nipper's Corner camera.
Pretty legit little radar signature there, though, for straight line winds.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And just to reiterate, yeah, I don't see any evidence of anything close to being tornado here.
No, I don't either.
It's all straight line winds. And by the way, that not only does that ring true on the radar products that we're looking at, but it also makes sense based on what we already know the atmosphere is capable of today.
This is a look at TB&A, and we're going back down and looking at this Williamson County storm because we have both counties are involved with separate storm cells, and they're issuing warnings separately on these. So the Williamson County warning down here that's in effect till 4:30, we've seen the velocities come down with that line, and that's good news. You can see back here around Fairview, it flared up, and but those velocities have come down as they've started to approach Hillsborough Road, Franklin Road, and I-65. Now there's still areas of very gusty winds. There's still some radar signatures here of 55, maybe 60 mile per hour winds. However, that is not nearly as widespread in Williamson County as it is up north in Davidson County. So let's go back up to that Davidson County storm. But Williamson County is still under a severe thunderstorm warning there until 4:30, and that does include Brentwood and Franklin. We'll check in on their cameras here in just a second as it crosses I-65, especially there in the Brentwood area. All right, this is back on the Davidson County storm. We're looking at velocities, and honestly, up here north of downtown, the radar gets really super cluttery, and it gets sometimes annoyingly hard to read. Up here where all these hills are, and so you're going to see a lot of holes in the data. That's okay. We can assume the wind is hitting the ground here, and but you will see a little bit of a different radar presentation here, just because there's a lot of hills up here and the radar beam hits them. But yeah, definitely looks like some strong winds coming through Cedar Hill Park over to Good Pasture and approaching Gallatin Road here in just a few minutes. I'm going to see. Let's see if I can pull up a camera up here.
Andrew, while you're doing that, I'll go ahead and mention that we're getting some pictures of some pretty impressive shelf clouds working their way across the area, but no reports of really any damage at all.
Good. And we want you to know how to send them those reports. If you do see damage outside, use a hashtag T-Spotter, and that gets it over to Will. He's watching for those reports. And if you have any trees come down or any damage, let us know on there. And we're about to have, this is a SmartWay camera there. This is at 65 south of Vietnam Veterans, right there around Amqui. And let's go down south just a little bit more. And this is going to be right around Old Hickory. And it looks like the strongest winds have probably passed this area or right on them. And we're going to kind of watch these cameras and see. And they're moving around pretty good, but it's going to be a little bit hard to tell exactly what's going on. And this is up toward Vietnam Vets. That's probably going to be our best shot, but we'll go back and look at radar here. So right around Cedar Hill Park, it looks like where the strongest wind is, and it looks like as this has gotten closer to the radar, guys, it looks like this thing is thinning out a little bit, and that would be great because it might be more indicative of what's actually reaching the ground. And it looks like 69 to 70 miles per hour right here around Madison, around Emmett Avenue. So wouldn't be surprised at all to have some pockets. Well, I just had a bunch of wind hit my office. Yeah, so that front definitely has some wind with it. I'm down here around Oak Hill, and so yeah, there's definitely wind with it. But we're hoping maybe the severe threat is minimized. Hopefully, that would be great. Go check on the what the Weather Service is saying here. Yeah, not too much new. That is a good bit of wind. It's impressive. So Williamson County, you guys may get, even though the radar signatures aren't overly impressive, it would not surprise me that you would get some 50 mile per hour winds, maybe some 60s in there across Williamson County as a part of that warning. see here. Let's go back up here to the storm in Davidson County. So there's just, I tell you what, the only thing I'm a little worried about, guys, there's this little bowing segment here that's running out ahead of this part up here in the northeastern part of the county. So right around Old Hickory, I wouldn't be surprised at all if there's just a little bit of enhanced winds right here approaching Old Hickory Boulevard in Old Hickory. And we're going to have to watch this very closely because sometimes what can happen is these sorts of things here can wrap up and create just a quick spin-up tornado right there in these little kinks here in a little bow. And that's kind of what I see here is a little bit of a bow and then kind of a kink right there. So we're going to have to watch that little area of enhanced wind as it approaches Old Hickory Boulevard here in the next scan or two and just see how that evolves. It's close to the radar. We'll get a good view of it. But I want to watch that carefully. That little area right there around Larkin Springs and Neely's Bend, right there near Old Hickory Dam. Let me turn the radar off. No, I'm sorry, it'd be south of Old Hickory Dam. That's up here. So this would be south. This would be over towards that's going to be Cheyenne Boulevard, right where the bridge is near and the driving range. Yeah. Now I think that's Clutter right there. I think that's Clutter on the radar, but it's just an area I want to watch there coming through Old Hickory.
Andrew, I think that has to be Clutter there.
Yeah, I think it is because that's always a messy spot right there.
Yeah.
So that's Clutter there, but it's an area of enhanced wind that I want to watch as that comes into Old Hickory there.
It's a pretty big hail core back behind over by Temple Hills.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Switch on over to, yeah. Talk
Sure
about that.
is.
That's a pretty big updraft.
Yeah, sure is. So down here in northwestern Williamson County, this is around the Natchez Trace Bridge out 96 and Pasco area. You can see the purples here around Temple Hills. That definitely, I agree with David, and we sort of have radar evidence here that along Temple Road, approaching Laurelbrook, Horseshoe Bend, Sunnyside, Grassland, places like that, could be seeing a pretty good hail core pass over there, which is not unexpected today. And it doesn't look like it's like ping-pong or golf ball size hail, but it looks like it could be quarter size coming up through Temple Hills into Laurelbrook. So if you get any hail, send those reports to us using hashtag TSpotter. And we would love to know the hail sizes there. Could be some enhanced winds in though. Actually, in there also. Actually, TBNA is showing those enhanced winds there around Laurelbrook and Temple Hills. So when you get that hail core, it's going to blow pretty hard too. So you're just going to kind of get a little bit of everything there when that comes through Laurelbrook here in just a few minutes, crossing what is that, Sneed Road there?
Yep.
And so right in that area. Yep. It looks like that could be.
I'm gonna go see if I can see it.
Could be a kind of a car wash there.
Safely, right, Will?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna run outside.
Don't run out there with the football helmet. There's lightning.
All right, Sneed Road. Yeah, that's Sneed Road right there. I would suspect that there's hail falling right around Sawyer Bend and Sneed. So right around Trace End Estates, Sneed Glen, Stockett Creek, Stonebridge Park, Horseshoe Bend, Laurelbrook, and maybe not all of these places, but I think there's going to be a narrow swath here where there's some pretty decent hail that's going to fall right there along near Vaughn Road and yeah, I think that's Laurelbrook, between Laurelbrook and Horseshoe Bend along Vaughn Road. I think there's probably going to be some hail falling. And some wind. I think that's all going to kind of be a package deal there for you. So here's that wind view, and we're looking at the same place: Natchez Country Club, Laurelbrook, Stockett Creek, Stonebridge, Lenox Park, Grassland. Those areas could see some enhanced winds there. All right, let's talk about behind this just a second. Behind this, we're looking in pretty good shape. Could be a storm that came out of Wayne County a minute ago. That could clip southeastern Williamson County. Seems like we were just saying those words a few days ago. But this one could clip Williamson County on the southeastern side. We're going to keep an eye on that. That's in eastern Lewis County right now. Definitely looks like a hailer at the moment, the way it looks on radar. So we'll have to watch that from Springfield
And
over
some
to College Grove.
Reports of that as well on Twitter, Andrew. Hail Looks like pea size reported, so we'll keep an eye for more of that.
Where was that, Will?
I've got pea size in Bellevue, pea size in Grassland, pea size 70 South, and Bellevue. So yeah, looks like the back side of that. Maybe let me look.
Well, it looks like I bet the hail sizes are probably a little bigger than that, especially around in very small localized areas. So,
And so it's going through that biggest hail core right now is going through an area where I wouldn't
yeah.
expect we'd get a lot of reports. I bet the pea size is peripheral to that up in Bellevue.
So Stonebridge Park, Horseshoe Bend, Devonshire, Edwin Warner, Percy Warner, Otter Creek, Lennox Park. I think I mentioned Devonshire. Right here where this purple is, I bet you it's probably a little bigger than peas. So if you see
Yes.
something bigger than pea size, let us know about that, especially in Stonebridge Park. If you're around there or Devonshire, we'd be interested to know the hail sizes there in those areas because radar indicates that there's probably an enhanced hail core there.
And so getting some reports of power outages in that same area, Charlotte and Whitebridge, Bellevue, Nashville West, all reporting some intermittent power outages. It looks like nothing super widespread.
Yeah. Well, it looks like I'm sitting here looking at the velocities. It looks like the majority of the strongest winds have probably now come through. If you just step back in time here, you see these very strong winds aloft that were barreling through Davidson. As they get closer to the radar, they sort of slack off a little bit. So the strongest winds, that strong core of heavy wind, looks to have now been making it into is pretty close to crossing the county line. A little bit left up in Goodlettsville, but that'll be crossing the county line over into Sumner and Wilson here shortly. And hopefully things calm down a little bit for us. However, the hail threat exists a little bit further behind the heaviest wind threat. And we see that around Forest Hills and Belle Meade all the way up to White Bridge. Anywhere you see these purples, it's possible that you get some small hail. Could be up to quarters or nickels, but our reports so far have indicated it's been smaller than that, which is good news. We don't need large hail. Okay, I got some pictures out of Laurelbrook. Let me show you here. All right, this picture here is out of Laurelbrook. So still peas, maybe large pea-size hail there. So they definitely got some there in Laurelbrook. Yeah, there's those pea-size hail in Bellevue. So Laurelbrook, I'm encouraged to see this because the thing went right over Laurelbrook. I'm encouraged to see that was small and not very large. So those are some pictures there out of Laurelbrook. So let us know what you're seeing out there, and we would love to know. Yeah, hail near Harpeth Hills Golf Course, slightly bigger than pea size. Okay, that's good to know. These are areas where this area of enhanced hail signatures is going through, and it's encouraging to know that so far slightly larger than pea size, we can handle that all day, as long as it doesn't get up to quarters or so. So that's good news.
It's losing its mojo a little bit here in the last couple of stickans there.
It definitely looks a little less organized. You know, these hail cores, when you see them all together like this, back here around Trace End, you see how that hail core is kind of put together. And then as it goes along, it kind of scatters out a little bit. So it could be losing a little bit of its, David, we were talking about once that trough moves through and sort of undercuts these storms, that we could see them start to decrease in intensity here locally. And that could be what's going on. And we could see some weakening these. We'll just have to tell. But I think the wind threat for Williamson and Davidson, it looks to me, according to radar data, that threat is decreasing here by the minute. Looking at TV.
Yeah, looking up and down GR through that, the middle of those, of that Williamson County warning, it looks like a lot of that has really calmed down.
Yeah, I agree, Will. And the storm down at Wilco, really the only one that has my attention is that one right near Laurelbrook.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see. We'll probably get a lot of reports as that storm goes through Warner Park and winds up on the other side of Belmead. It'd be interesting to see whether we're still getting pea-size reports or any hail reports when it gets back over a little bit more population.
Yeah, I'm going to pull back and look at Hopkinsville and try to query the tops because we're a little bit too close to it in Nashville to see what the tops are doing. Let's pull back and take a look.
Looks like they've got 50 dBz up to about 25,000.
And T-Spotter's getting some tree down reports from Little Marrowbone Road by Beeman Park. That's in the Bells Bend area.
Yeah.
So, David, when you called that out earlier, I think in NWS chat, there was some velocity spikes out there and seeing a tree down.
Yeah, Andrew, I'm only seeing less than 40 dBz at 26K over there. So I guess I'll just cross-section and see what the freezing level is. But, I mean, yeah, it's coming down. So there's that. So what we're doing is we're looking at a 3-dimensional view of the storm. And we can see where we think the part of the atmosphere that's freezing. And if the storm is taller than the freezing line, then it's easier for that hail to form. But if the freezing line is higher than where most of the storm is, it's obviously above freezing and difficult, if not impossible, for us to have hail. So that looks like from Hopkinsville, that storm's maybe barely 30,000 feet up, and that the frozen line's around 23,000 feet. So I would not think that's going to hail for very much longer over there, which is good news for everybody in Nashville. Mm-hmm. Sad news for roofers, I guess.
One more storm we're watching that's kind of getting its act together is down here around Thompson Station, right up near the fairgrounds, Sullivan Farms, up and down Columbia Pike. That thing's getting its act together a little bit and could drop some hail there around
high
the fairgrounds.
High 60 dBzs, very similar to what we just saw go through the north part of the county.
Yeah, so if it holds together, which, things kind of go up and come down, it's looking like today. But if it holds together in Nolensville, this could be your storm here in the next little bit, and we could expect hail, decent hail core now forming right there around 840 and to the north. This is delayed a little bit, the hail core view here, and so that's going to be up toward the Williamson County Fairground now. Really, anywhere you see these purples, today is a pretty good indication that there's probably some hail in there. And so I would expect hail from Keystone over to the Fairgrounds, Ladd Park, Cedarmont, Nestledown Farms, Trinity Park, Trinity, and over there across Wilson Pike and Highway 96 around Arrington up to Burke Hollow and Bell Chase Farms. Could get some small hail out of that. It looks like, so far we've only seen pea size. The Weather Service actually has let the warning expire a little bit early there in Williamson County. And they've gone for a sort of a special weather statement for that storm. So it's not a severe thunderstorm warning yet. If the hail gets going and they have evidence that it's quarter size, they could reissue that on the grounds of large hail, and that would include Nolensville and Page High School more than likely, and McKay's Mill. But so far that storm is not warned, and really I don't see any evidence of strong winds with it on radar. So it looks like mostly a hail thing right there around Ladd Park and Red Wing Farms.
I mean, it's definitely hailing. The question is the size.
Yeah, hopefully.
There's a drop in CC right over Keystone,
which
would make sense. Yeah. See that?
I do.
That's probably hail aloft, and whether it's melting before it hits the ground or not is only people in Keystone will be able to say. But that's over off that Snowbird Hollow Road. So if you go to, let's see, if you're off Henpeck Lane or something, I think this storm is coming over for you. Over to Henpeck Lane, then over to Red Wing Farms, and then over by the crossing It's not forest crossing anymore. Then it looks like it would get into like Wilco Fair, Lad Park, maybe even up into like where the Williamson Medical Center is up there. If there's hail in it, again, I wouldn't expect that it would be any bigger than what we saw earlier today.
That's right.
There's just a whole lot of what's that? Dippin' dot. Yeah, the Dippin' Dots.
Dippin' Dot hail.
Yeah, Dippin' Dot hail.
This is a report up in Madison from Billy showing chimney that, and these things are kind of notorious for coming off, to be honest with you, but this is one of these kind of cheap chimneys that they can blow off fairly easily, believe it or not. Anyway, that's up in Madison. And
full disclosure, we do not know the construction.
Yeah, we don't know the construction
to
of it.
Attach this chimney.
But I've seen this kind of stuff happen before. But that's up in Madison, and looks like so they did get some wind up there. That's my point. I shouldn't be assuming the construction, but they did get some wind up there in Madison. But I'm not seeing a picture. I'm not seeing any additional damage around there. So
now getting reports of hail
New severe
in
thunderstorm warning.
Stream Valley, hail in Lad Park. Let's see.
New severe thunderstorm warning now for Williamson County. This is going to be for that storm that Will was talking about around Henpeck Lane and Lad Park. There's your polygon. And so there we go. The same places we mentioned a minute ago: McKay's Mill, Nolensville, Trinity Park. A new warning for you, and this is going to be for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and penny-size hail. Could be some wind with it and some hail, both. I'm not seeing a lot of evidence on radar of wind, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. So be aware that there could be some strong winds around the fairgrounds and Lad Park and McKay's Mill crossing Highway 96, and that you could have it appears to me a hail problem here, as far as maybe some penny-size hail. Could be up to quarters as it moves to the northeast as the storm gets organized. So just be aware that from around Burke Hollow and Skinner Road and Osborne Road, you're getting heavy rain right now. That is not what this warning is for. This is for a storm that's behind it, that's back now around, that's going to be right there around Henpeck Lane, right on top of Henpeck Lane, and moving to the northeast. That's the storm that has the warning with it, and we'll be approaching McKay's Mill here shortly. So we'll see if it holds together. This thing looks like it's moving kind of north-northeast. And so I would expect it around the Highway 96 exit, McKay's Mill, kind of in that area here shortly. And I'm going to go ahead and be efforting a camera down that way.
So Toby just ran into my office. Bro does not like the thunder. Not a fan. Yeah. So he'll just sit right next to me here.
Welcome, Toby. All right, so... All right, I've got that camera up whenever we're ready. We'll watch a camera from Highway 96 here in just a little bit as that starts to cross. Hail core looks like it's come down a little bit and actually come up a little bit around Burke Hollow.
Yeah, and now getting pea-size, pebble-size, just got what I would call penny-sized hail report. So
from where, Will?
It's very interesting that we can tell in the replies as these storms pulse up and
Where
down.
was that report from?
Oakwood Estates, Ag Center.
Okay. So
another one just labeled it Franklin Thompson Station.
Okay, so that's the west.
Trailing behind.
Okay. So
this is going to be the warned storm. Yeah.
Okay. So that's the storm here back around that would make sense, and it looks like that hail core might be coming down now and might actually be pulsing up around Burke Hollow. So so y'all around Burke Hollow and Nolensville might get, and it just looks like this, kind of like we get in these summer, these outflow boundaries come into these storms and launch them up and get them going, and then they fall apart, and then another one launches out ahead of it. It reminds me of that a little bit. So this one got going. Looks like the hail core is starting to fall apart. It may have dropped its hail core, and then the one out ahead of it is getting lofted up right now and could be getting some hail around Burke Hollow and crossing Nolensville Road here shortly, going down York Road and near the elementary and high schools there. But again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning. We don't see any evidence whatsoever of rotation This is a severe thunderstorm warning with a hail and straight line wind threat. We've not seen. In fact, we've not seen large hail yet. All the hail we've seen so far has been small. So we're looking pretty good so far. But with these warnings, we want you definitely be inside and don't be. We just don't want you to be outside or out driving around and not paying attention. We just want you to be aware that these things are coming through, and you could briefly get some strong winds and some hail. But we think they'll be out of here before too long. A lot of rain up here. The warning has expired for Davidson County. Still a lot of rain, a lot of heavy rain up here around Neely's Bend, but the warning has expired. So Davidson County is no longer in the severe thunderstorm warning. But down here in Williamson County, this is the only warning we have left, and that's for Williamson County.
So sending these reports to the National Weather Service on NWS chat over here, seeing dime size reports come in, still a good amount of pea size reports coming in with that warm storm.
Yeah, I'm looking through some of our hail reports here too. Yeah, luckily everything's been small. That's good.
Seeing a little bit of pulse up on Andrew, shoot up to Inglewood, 5 points.
Right here?
Yeah, I don't know if that's mixing in with some traditional clutter there.
It's a very cluttery area.
Looks like it's pulsing up a little bit on reflectivity.
Could be. Yeah, it looks like this is kind of that area of heavy rain that went through. It was the weakening area that caused the hail down your way, Will, and where it was pulsed up, and then it's just kind of turned into a heavy rainer. And it's sort of behind that.
Seen a few pixels close to 70.
Yeah, it's definitely a heavy rainer. That is for certain. But I wouldn't be surprised to be getting a little bit of hail around Colonial Village and up toward Tulip Grove as well. But again, I think it would be really small. I mean, we have no indication here yet that we're getting, what we call damaging hail on radar. Correct. But and we haven't.
Nor in reports.
Right, and that's verified by ground truths by reports. So that's good news. Going over to let's check TBNA just a second. I just want to make sure there's no winds coming out of this thing. The radar is just we're not seeing winds on radar, and that's good. So let's hope it stays that way. Radar pulsing up a little bit more again around Highway 96, McKay's Mill, Bell Chase Farms. Right there around Clovercroft Road, maybe some hail around McKay's Mill, Wilson Pike. But I don't think that's fallen yet. Yeah, here's a look aloft at it. So this is looking up at about 17,000 feet. So there could be a little bit more hail yet to go around Wilson Pike and Ravenwood High School, Clovercroft, Split Log. That's going to be Split Log and Ragsdale. Could be a little bit more hail to go as the storm moves northeast. Same with Nolensville. Some pretty decent cores up there right around town, especially on the west side. So again, this is all moving kind of northeast. So it's kind of lifting northeast into Davidson County here shortly. Will, anything coming in now larger than dimes?
No. Most of it is pea-sized, and some dime, some penny, but most of it is pea-sized. Put a few reports in through chat. Now, kind of looking more for some of these cloud videos. Lots of shelf clouds coming through. I don't see any in any of the cloud videos we've been sent. I don't see anything that rotationally at all. David, have you been looking at velocities? Anything concerning?
Yeah, there's nothing spinning around out there. I've got actually more concerned now about the rain that's coming later tonight. I'll talk about that here in a minute. I'm going to put a tweet out.
So severe thunderstorm warning continues until 5. That's 20 minutes. So we're going to have to see. We'll see if the Weather Service continues this warning or if they let it go. This seems very pulsy. Thing is going up and coming down. It'll show hail for a few minutes and then go away. We haven't gotten any reports of any large hail, but certainly if you get anything that's if it's quarter size or larger, we really would love to know about that because that would meet severe criteria. But so far we've not seen that, and that is wonderful news. So
just picked up a new hail report in Hermitage, Andrew.
Okay.
Dippin' Dots sized. Looks like there could have been a couple of scans back in Colonial Village, west of Nashville Shores.
Yeah.
But, the radar here, at least on the lower tilts, has a really hard time. It's just a little too close.
I think what you said earlier, Will, you've got these little pockets of higher reflectivity here, these purples. Yep. And it seems like the purples have been, and every day's a little different. Every storm event's a little different. But today it seems like once we kind of hit the purple here on the reflectivities is kind of where we start seeing some small hail. And again, this is not large. It's just enough you hear it on your window. This isn't going to destroy your car or anything.
You're going to see it floating down the street.
Yeah, right. But yeah, around Colonial Village and Donaldson earlier, we saw some of those purples. So those are moving out, and those are actually right over the Weather Service office right now. It's not hard to see where they are. There's the Weather Service office. So sometimes we say nothing bad happens at the Weather Service, and here's why. So they're in a little bit of a dead spot because that's right where their radar dome is. Call that the cone of silence. So,
but the wind threat for that severe, that is pretty much over in Davidson County, I think.
You talking about for the Davidson County warning?
The Davidson County wind threat. Now that warning is moved to the east, yes. I think the wind threat is pretty much over in Davidson County.
Yes.
And I think once this storm east of Franklin moves on past McKay's Mill and Nolensville, I think Williamson County will look pretty good. What about the Murray County cell moving into Spring Hill, Eagleville, College Grove?
Well, that storm has weakened. In fact, they let the
It was warned, right?
Yes, they've let that warning go. There's your warning there back in time. And it was, you get into the whites here. Yeah, we're dealing with a hailer for sure. Mm-hmm. No doubt about it. There was hail falling out of that. Well, as it moved to the east, that thing has weakened as well. And they have let the warning go as it comes through Murray County. Some of y'all may look at this and go, oh my gosh, there's a hook on it. No rotation whatsoever. In fact, very little wind threat with it. According to radar right now, 35 miles an hour is the top thing I can find with it. It looks like this storm is pulsing down, not going up. So they've let the warning go on that one in Murray County. It doesn't look like right now, here's our hail view. There's nothing. It's blank. So it looks like that will not be an issue as it moves into Williamson County here over the next 15 minutes. It looks like the strongest storm right now continues to be up here right along Ragsdale and up here around Sunset and Maxwell Lane and Waller Road, coming up through the Governor's Club east side, right around the fire station there in East Brentwood, right there in the curve that they just redid on Sunset. All of that right there, that's where really that's the strongest storm we have, and we're not seeing, there's literally nothing on velocities there.
Yeah, so. And P-size reports continue to come in. McKay's Mill,
Wilson
Pike and McEwen.
What is going on?
Toby going nuts.
That's Toby.
Clovercroft and McEwen, Clovercroft, Wilson Pike.
It's a dog alert.
McKay's Mill, all P-size reports.
Yeah. Okay. So it looks like I would expect I would expect pea-sized hail there along Sunset, right around the fire station. That's going to be over there, Concord Road near Owl Creek Park, the Concord Nolensville intersection where the Kroger and Publix and all that is. Probably some pea-sized hail there.
This thing's falling apart.
Yeah, David, talk to us about the rain threat later on. I think
Yeah.
that's going to be our main story really from this point forward.
Yeah, so I'm sitting over here looking at the HRRR, which if you've seen us at all, followed us at all, you know that it's the high resolution rapid refresh model, which is probably the best short range, high resolution weather model that is available really to anybody. And it's got these storms coming in. They're pretty gnarly until dark, and then there's a little bit of a lull, maybe a few passing showers, and then right around midnight, another group of showers regather themselves to our southwest, and they move straight up into Williamson County and into Nashville. And so you'll probably hear a lot of rain hitting your roof tonight as you're trying to sleep, right around midnight and then after. And it rains pretty heavy for about 4 to 5 hours. And I tweeted a few minutes ago the total amount of rainfall that the model expects to occur. Andrew, if you can pull that up.
Say
And
that
it's
again,
got
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I tweeted, I don't know, about 5-10 minutes ago, the QPF on the HRRR model that I was just talking about.
Got it.
And one of the things you can do is say, okay, well, how much of rain is all of this? So that would include the rain that we've just gotten, plus the rain that we get after midnight. And it's got a really narrow swath, kind of got from Spring Hill up to Nolensville, between 3 and 4 inches of rain. That's it right there. And so I drew the little dotted line as that's where kind of the 3 to 4 inch area is. And that's generally the direction the storms will move from, like diagonally from southwest to northeast. And then I said, well, sometimes the model misses where that southwest to northeast, that diagonal line, it placed. Sometimes it should be a little bit more toward the southeast. Sometimes it should be a little bit more to the northwest. So there's a little bit of a concern for anybody who's out driving. So I know a lot of you nurses are, got to get to work at 6 a.m., especially if you're in a low-lying area and you're in Wilco. I'd be very concerned, not very concerned, but I would be concerned that if I came across a road that hadn't been closed yet, that had water on it, that you probably ought to, one, leave more time to get to work on time, but also to avoid that because especially at that time of night, it's almost impossible to rescue you in a prompt amount of time because it's dark and it's hard to find you. And most of those places where the water does rise and install your car and turn it from a car into a log that floats are low-lying and hard to get to. So that's the only real concern. I will say that spreading the rain out as far as we have is good, and that the fact that the ground's been relatively dry is also good. So I'm not really, they haven't issued a flash flood watch for this. They've issued an aerial flood watch, which is to say that they think that some of the spots that usually have a lot of rainfall may fill up in the morning. So especially for you pre-dawn and sunrise commuters, let's just keep an eye out and keep that in the back of your mind. If there are some flood products that need to go out, you'll probably hear about them. So you need to probably turn on the local news like first thing when you wake up. And certainly if there are any flash flood warnings, we'll let you know. But just be mindful of what's going on. 4 inches of rain over a 12-inch period will usually trigger flash flood warnings. But again, that's the 4 inches is the high amount there. I think most people end up between 2.5, which we can handle. But a few of us might hit 4. The other thing, and Andrew can tell you this better than I could, but that rain axis is going across 2 water basins, right? So Nolensville, I know, is especially susceptible to flash flooding, and it fills up pretty quick. So if you're in Nolensville, especially, and you're a pre-dawn commuter, let's be safe tomorrow morning. That's all.
All right. Well, all warnings for Davidson and Williamson have been canceled or expired, so that's good news for us. I heard one more thing. Let me just make sure that's not a warning. Nope. However, it looks like we did set a record high. So the record high temperature of 87 was tied at Nashville today. So we tied a record of 87 from 1967. Nice. All right. Well, warnings have been canceled or expired, and so we'll switch over to Twitter. Hope you guys have a great evening. Talk to you later.